Hi there. So this, I think, will be my last general blog video. I have actually come to the end of my development process, so I'm going to combine development and my evaluation of this process that I've gone through, and then conclude it with one final video after this. So I'll just talk through what I did for my development. My development was a little bit more clearer than my concepts. I was getting a little bit worried by the end of my concept phase, but by the end of this, I'm pretty confident with what I've come up with. I went through various, field. Couldn't do field testing, but I did do some observations and made up a bed and played around with placement behind the bed and in my studio. Made up a bed and just did things like that and did various decal cuts. I played around with decal cuts and forms and played around on the whiteboard, which was fun. Yeah, I really wanted to have fun in the last stretch of this project. Didn't want to stress out about it too much, because then it doesn't do any good for anybody. So I did full-scale models, very large scale. Some of them were a bit too big, drawing on the whiteboards and things like that, adding additional notes. So I didn't do that. I just drew, which was a lot more easier. Decal did take time cutting, but I did some little models and played around with it. They are quite easy. It is quite easy to clean. I also decided to do a hinging kind of system, which originally talking over with my lecturer, he did say that be careful with how you do it, and I can see why. It can look very cheap if you just put simple hinges, metal hinges on it. It can look like a temporary installation, and then all of a sudden it just looks cheap and tacky. So I had to be very careful with how I selected the method for actually hinging it off the wall. I wanted to hinge it because it is, in a way, it is getting it off the wall in a type of way. It's not completely wall bound. You can see it by simply turning your head and looking up, and it's a different way of interacting with it. But yeah, this was a method I wanted to go with. I wouldn't say it was a compromise, but I did rack my brain over how to get it off the wall. And in a way, this is sort of a loophole, I would call it, to get around that issue. So by simply hinging it, it adds a whole new layer of interaction. Something else that I came to the conclusion was bringing back the support person and the nurses into the interaction with the board. So why waste money and time and incorporating a whole new mechanical arm or a whole new pole in the space and cluttering it up? I mean, the mechanical arm could be something to look at, but unfortunately it wasn't something I looked at from the real beginning, so it wasn't really worthwhile coming in 3/4 through the project and developing, because I probably wouldn't have been able to refine it as well. So I guess looking back, I'm happy with what I did in terms of leaving that thought process behind, because then I figured I'd just be hanging on to something and then I wouldn't have really sawn it through appropriately. But yeah, so I guess just making it hinge is a lot more simplistic, and bringing in that whole idea of the nurses and the support people being the mechanism behind being able to interact with it. So things like post-it notes and the support people, physically reaching onto this board and interacting with it. It's like, oh, they're actually interacting with my board. Oh, they actually care. Oh, there's some sort of fuzzy emotional feeling about them leaving me a message. So I guess that's sort of where I've been really looking at over my development phase, is just trying to answer my opportunity statement, really, because that's where I went back and said in my last video, I think, and just really had to anchor myself. So that's where I'm at the moment with my final. I'm happy with what I've come up with. I've enjoyed this brief. I've enjoyed the project. But yeah, I will conclude that in my next video. Thanks for watching.